Welcome back to the Live Lounge, Open Banking Expo UK and Europe 2025. I'm delighted to be joined by Jason Turner from Barclays, who's the Open Banking and Digital Platforms Director at the bank. So welcome to the Live Lounge.
Hi Ali, thank you very much. It's nice to be with you today.
Great. But tell us a bit more about your role then at Barclays.
So I've been with the bank for 18 years now. Most of my time there has been in corporate sales, so I come very much from a commercial background. But 2.5 years ago, took over the role within open banking. So I lead on open banking, open finance, and also digital verification, which is all very exciting at the moment.
Yeah.
The corporate background and the sales background has really helped because I can kind of live as an optimist in a world that is, at the moment, a very optimistic one to live in and look for the future and try and drive those commercial outcomes.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to talk a little bit more about that optimism and looking ahead. But to start with, maybe there's back at how far open banking has come, right? So we're coming up sort of 8 years of open banking in the UK. You've just said there you've been in the open banking role specifically for 2.5. What have you seen in that time in terms of progress?
So I'm not long in the tooth enough to give a full history lesson. Some of my colleagues have been around since day dot, but even over the last 2.5 years or so, I've seen marked changes in how the industry's talking to each other and also how the landscape has set out its route forward and how it really provides that path for us to navigate to. Some of the big highlights over the last few years was we've turned from a talking shop, if you like, so where we were just having the conversations and there was no real output, through to something that those conversations are able to progress forward. With things like the roadmap closing with regards to the order, it almost puts a halt on that can be used for innovation going forward. We need to find another way. And then things like the national payments vision and the FCA feedback statement around the future entity, the work that's going on with the TMO, and we can touch on all of those things in a moment, really kind of show that progress and the conversations are really living up to expectation in terms of trying to hit that goal.
Yeah, okay, so we've hit kind of key milestones, I guess. Looking ahead then, what makes you optimistic about where open banking is going?
So there's a couple of things. So I'm involved in most of the strategic conversations, if you like, at industry level. And if I pick on one in particular, it's the conversation around VRPs and the TMO. So back in 2023, the PSR ran its roundtables where there were 3 working groups. There was the commercial model working group, a consumer protection working group, and a technical working group. And those 3 groups almost lived independently of each other. So they weren't doing something that was combined. They were just talking about their thing and then hoping that the regulator would come up with a solution. There's been a real mindset shift from both the regulator and also from industry that this has got to be an industry-created solution on a more commercial footing that's sustainable going forward, but also something that we can own. Now, fast forward to today, we've got the TMO, which has been established, the transitional MLA operator, where there's 31 firms that have come together to fund this. For the first time ever, that things were subsidised by the CMA9 before, and now you progress to today, and there's more and more people getting involved. And the conversation has changed as well. It's moved from just talking into talking with action. I think the regulators really helped here because they've set us the target of what they'd like us to achieve, and we've been able to navigate through that as industry and given the space to do that in the way that we see most appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I know there are quite a few conversations around VRP happening at the Expo today. Are you hoping to hear some, real industry progress, I take it?
It's funny, the Expo, because I see the industry progress at kind of working level, so chairing various working groups and been involved in the conversation. What's really great about the Expo is then sharing that with everyone else and seeing that positivity move forward. In terms of the progress that's being shared, it's just that. So industry has come together. We funded together for the first time an ecosystem-wide organisation that's going to be incorporated that allows us to move forward. Once that's done, it gives us then the entity to hang the proposition on, and we can start to work through how we make VRPs into commercial VRPs and really provide that value for consumers. The key piece is thinking through all of those bits of how we tie that together though. So the commercial model, the consumer protection and the technical bits need to talk to each other. And those are the conversations that we're having now. So how does consumer protection really affect the commercial model? How does the commercial model incorporate how to operationalize this and build in the technical uplift that needs to be done. So that conversation is live, it's happening. There's complications, there always is.
Yeah.
Fast cars have good brakes is a saying that I like. So sometimes you need to slow down, have the right conversation with lawyers in the room and the experts to really kind of try and noodle their way through a tricky problem, and then that allows you to put your foot on the gas and accelerate again to the outcome that we've mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that national payments vision that obviously you mentioned earlier that came out this year, do you think that really kind of provided with a long-term vision and ambition, I guess, for the industry to work towards?
Definitely. I think the more we hear in terms of clarity from the regulators, the better. So we're always asking for more clarity, and the FCA are really supporting with that as well. So every line, there's a few bullet points underneath it that really help us to move forward. And we've all got something to aim at now, which we haven't really had before, other than move to the future entity somehow and close the order somehow. And it was always a bit, not negative, but always a bit sort of, well, we ought to get this done. I think there's a talk today around moving from a compliance-led thing into a commercial-led thing. I think the MPV really puts that forward, is this can be the commercial-led thing, and sets out the ambition for industry to do that together.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke about, that kind of fairly unique model, really, where all these operators, including Barclays, have come together to kind of fund the next stage. Do you think that kind of exemplifies what open banking and what open banking payments is all about, that kind of working together?
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I was here 2 years ago, I was asked to be on my first panel on joining the ecosystem. And one of the things that I said in my closing remarks was around how you can feel the desire for collaboration in the room. But in hindsight, it wasn't quite there. Now you really can see that. And the thing I'm really excited about with the TMO is it's a template, that cookie cutter that can move forward. So as then we look at the future entity, it creates this enduring funding model that's equitably funded across the ecosystem, with TPPs and CMA9 banks and non-CMA9 banks all coming together and proportionately paying their fair share, with an understanding that that's the only way to move forward. Move that through into open finance as well, and the model that the FCA drew in their feedback statement for their roundtables again in 2023, and you start to see all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle coming together, and they're all the right way up, and we've done the edges, and now we're just putting the last little bits in. It's really exciting, and kind of you can see where we've come from 8 years ago. From that kind of, we're learning the way of what to do with this thing we've been given. The rules are set for us rather than us making our own way in the world. And I'm really excited about that kind of opportunity, with this being on a commercial footing where every part of the value chain is able to derive the value, be that customers benefiting because they're protected better or they're avoiding scams more, whether it's merchants been able to move people through the retail pipe quicker. TPPs have found a home in the ecosystem, and banks are supporting it, but there's an acknowledgement that comes at a cost for us to look after and maintain those customer relationships in the systems which ultimately provide that safety and security behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a time of true innovation then, really.
Definitely.
And talking about people coming together, we're giving all our Live Lounge interviewees this ecosystem, which I think, again, perfectly exemplifies what you've just said about how everyone works together in this industry, the collaboration that's needed, and kind of that long-term vision that you're all working towards, right?
Yeah, definitely. And unlike a terrarium, though, the lid is off on the open banking ecosystem. So we've grown, we're in there, we've become a plant, and now it's time to kind of lift the lid off and let everybody kind of experience what we've been working on for so long.
Yeah, that's true.
Stretch a metaphor.
Yeah, okay, I like that though, it works. Well, Jason, thank you for joining me in the Live Lounge, and enjoy your appearance on the stage later.
Will do. Thanks very much, Ellie.